Well, I can certainly say that when I first started to try and get into production, I didn't even know it was called, really, and there were so few women in the industry. I started doing club nights, that's where I trained. There was no training, and there were so few women that we all knew each other by name. It's literally like 5, 10, you know, women or something that I knew of across club world and production world. And since running the youth training crews over the last 7 years, I've seen a really amazing change there. It's almost sort of 50-50 female and male, you know, young people coming up. So I've seen a massive change happen in a really positive way, and not just catering and production office, but across rigging, you know, lighting design, sound engineering, you know, all of the technical areas as well. So really positive.
I really am passionate about putting out content that shows all the amazing women in the industry and everything that they do, to then the young men coming up, and even the men in the industry, to go, oh, actually there are producers, you know, in the studio, there are producers out in live. There are so many different women out there smashing it and doing really well. Often the women that make it are just doing so well, and just normalising it, and that's I think that's key.
I have organised a sort of women in music event, and I remember one young woman who I'm really good friends with wanted to come to this event, and it was a really high-powered event. They had really high-powered speakers from the world of business and politics. And she was kind of basically told, oh, well, no, you know, we're not going to let you leave work early to go to that, because it's just like a women thing. I do think that has significantly changed since that time. That was about 10 years ago. I do feel like that has really, really changed. I don't think a male boss would say that to the female member of staff now.
I think there need to be more like inspirational women who will motivate younger women. I didn't really have that when I was going through. So that's what I want to be for other people, you know?
It's the same in production, and I know we have a couple of musicians here as well. And for me, as a young female guitar player, I talk about this a lot, how I didn't have any female role models. You know, like, it's not like they didn't exist, but it wasn't somebody that I felt passionately about. You know, like, I identify as a technical, you know, stylish guitar player, and I didn't have like this, you know, this arsenal of amazing female guitar players to look up to when I was growing up. And it's not like they didn't exist. You know, Jennifer Batten was out there playing with Michael Jackson, you know, and I remember the first time I saw her play at the Super Bowl, and it was, you know, she had that big shock of blonde hair, and she was playing her ass off, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Why didn't I know about this before? And now it's like there's this amazing insurgence of really great female musicians that aren't relying on power chords and being cute looking, and like can really play. And it's cool to be a part of that.
Definitely seems to be like our generation as well. I think that are changing, like for the generation below us. Do you know what I mean? As in, like you said, I didn't really have anybody to look up to until I saw Beyonce's drummers, and my head was just like, this is amazing.
I'm quite grateful to be surrounded by various the networks I'm part of. I think it's really important when you're a young person, not just a woman, young person in the music industry, starting out, to have people you can ask for advice from. So I'm part of Young Guns Network, and I can go to Remy or Sam, the other co-founder, just to grab a drink with them or a coffee, and kind of if I'm you know, a bit confused or want some advice on things. Historically, when I was kind of 16 onwards, I was going to a lot of men for advice, but I think since I've been in the music industry, I'm quite thankful to have quite a few women that I can go to for advice.
The way we learnt was on site. We had to be completely spontaneous, we had to be really proactive and just get yourself in there. So the YPN crews are, that we only train on site, we never train in a classroom.
We're doing a Backstage Academy, and we're trying to marry industry with academia, and it's a challenge. You know, we're continually working to expand the opportunities we can actually give students, because it is difficult to try and create degrees which are vocational and give students actual practical skills in live music, you know.
What's the ratio of, do you know what the ratio is for like male, female?
So course by course it varies, but generally speaking, and the live event production course, which is the more technical course, it's about 70-30 split weighted on men. In stage management, it's more 50-50. It seems to me like it is becoming more equal. It's more equal when I look at the students.
I think it's growing.
And I see all these women, I go, wow.
There's a lot of amazing things that are being kind of created now for encouraging women to get into music, like International Women's Day, and in Northern Ireland we have women's work. And it's just amazing to see that. Like, I've really noticed from the beginning stages of whenever I was playing, I didn't really have anybody to look up to either, but I did really feel that there was a huge shift in the last couple of years. There's a lot more women and a lot more young women and girls who are really interested in actually wanting to learn things, and you know, I don't know, it's just amazing to see that support actually being offered.
It's the conversation, I think, as well, talking about it, and these campaigns build it all, and it makes it such a positive experience.
Can you share any story that you feel that you've been supported, been championed, where you didn't expect it?
When I was in my first job, or my first career in the industry, which was working in AIM, I was really supported by both a male and a female mentor, and they both became really good friends, and the male mentor I've carried on being friends with up until this day, and he's been so supportive. He's supported me through starting my own business, through redundancy. He's been absolutely fantastic.
I'm part of this organisation called the FAC. I'm an advocate for that, so it's a Featured Artist Coalition. And one of the most attractive things about it as a musician joining it was to be part of this network where we can share these stories together. And it can be, maybe there's an awkward conversation outside of that place in the FAC meetings, but it can be really candid, blunt conversations of how much were you getting for that, or how did you go about this with this. And it's so nice. I think the FAC is a beautiful kind of a body that's available at the minute, where you have this network available to you to then kind of to exchange your stories or your experiences, especially when pay is considered.
I get all my work through word of mouth, through recommendation. So the majority of people who are recommending me are men, because the majority of people who work in the music industry are men, and I've had particularly supportive agents and managers who have given me endless amounts of brilliant opportunities with bands, because they have faith in what I do, and because a lot of their artists, want a woman around, or want women in the touring dynamic.
Yeah, I think it's so important, especially when you're new to the industry, you're, like you were saying, even just being young in the industry, to get involved in these kind of networks and these different societies, because I think I found the first year that I worked in the music industry, I constantly felt like I was totally winging it, like I didn't deserve my position, and that I wasn't, I just was very unconfident in who I was as a person, and I was really lucky to kind of be taken under the wing of, I don't know if you guys know Lara Baker at AIM, but she was just awesome and totally supported me and introduced me to this whole network of women who are so empowering, and always just like this constant feed of opportunities and supporting each other, and like a few years ago I would never have sat in this group of people and just felt confident enough to just sit and talk about my experiences, and there's this constant sharing of information and saying, there's this panel happening, you would be totally awesome for it, you should go for it. So I think that's one of the most important things. If you are starting out in the industry, you need to get involved in those societies, and you need to make the most of that information and, use it to your advantage.
Just loads of artists that I've loved and supported, and, kind of knew about them kind of before loads of other people did, and championed them, and to see them doing so well, seeing Shame, songs of praise is everywhere all over the tube now, and just kind of going, those guys, I've been following them since early days, loads of bands like that breaking through, and loads of artists who are really talented, and it's great to see that talent getting recognised.
One of my most positive experiences, or a real change in my career, was to start developing my own projects and really taking ownership of them, and really making sure that I was the person who was seen as the person that created the diversity charter or the such and such project or whatever it was, and being the front person I'm taking those ideas from the beginning to the end and seeing them through. That was a massive change for me.